Hi guys, welcome to Q&A with Coach Rebecca. I am Rebecca Smith, the founder and director of Complete Performance Coaching, which is a team of highly skilled sports psychology coaching experts who specialize in work one-on-one with athletes age 8 to 18 and beyond on all kinds of sports, ranging from gymnastics to tennis to baseball to basketball to you name it. We can help you. We can help you perform better, especially if the reason that you're not performing well is between your ears. So your coach coaches from your neck down, and we coach you from your neck up. And if you ask me, it's the most important piece of the puzzle. And so a lot of people spend all their lives improving their physical skill, and then they forget this main important part is getting your brain to cooperate with you. So that's what we do. We do it through one-on-one coaching over Skype or FaceTime. We also have a fabulous, amazing community that's called the Perform Happy Community that is full of self-service, mental toughness training options, as well as live coaching. It's really the most accessible way to get a peak performance expert in your back pocket. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can do that at performhappy.com. And I am taking 3 questions. I'm going to try to get through 3 questions today from members of the community. I have 4, but Coach Diana is going to tackle one of them tomorrow because it's another really great question. So this is all about fear and anxiety, because you guys, these are like the biggest culprits. Confidence and fear are pretty much opposites, and confidence is the most important thing you need in order to perform at your best. So if fear is up here, up to your eyeballs, your confidence cannot be high. As you get your confidence up, your fear goes down. So my job, like my primary purpose on this planet, I believe, is to help people increase confidence through decreasing fear. And so these 3 questions are all about fear and anxiety. And they're all different sports, so that's kind of cool. You can see how fear affects 3 different sports or more. All right, first question comes from Sandy. She says, my daughter's a level 7, moving to level 8 gymnast. She peeled off the bars while doing a giant and now is afraid of the bars. What suggestions do you have? Okay, so those of you non-gymnasts can assume like she flung off the bars and now she's afraid of the bars. Makes sense, right? Like if I was your brain and you just flung off the bars, I would not want you doing that anymore. And that's what happens, is that's what creates what we call a mental block, is where your brain makes a decision that your body maybe is not so happy about. Your brain goes, okay, we're not doing that anymore. Thanks anyway. Let's find something else to do with our free time other than bars. And so your brain will do everything in its power to try to get you to not do the bars, to avoid the bars, to do other events, to, anything it can do to get you to steer clear of that thing that it now thinks is dangerous. Even if you didn't get hurt, it spooked you and now you don't want to do it. Okay, so luckily this is a member of the community, so she has access to the Overcoming Fear course. So the first thing I'm going to say is, if you haven't already, dig into the Overcoming Fear course. It's 6 modules. Best to do them once a week, and then you can spend the week kind of working through the action steps. It will get you to the point where you will know exactly how to communicate with your brain. You will know exactly what your next step is, because fear is something, especially in gymnastics and figure skating, in diving, in these like what I call scary sports, it's something that you will always be up against as you keep up leveling your skill, because your brain is going to keep going, whoa, you want me to do what? And then you have to go through the same process that gets you back these what seem like easier skills that are only going to become harder and harder as you go through the levels. So the key points that I want you to know, that you're really going to get from that course are: start where you are. So if where you are is, I can barely swing on the bar, which I'm guessing she's probably beyond that, but whatever she can do, you're basically asking your brain, okay, brain, if you can't do that right now, what can you do? Can you swing on the bar? Can you do it with a spot? Can you do it into the foam pit? Can you do whatever? What can you do, brain? What will you let me do today? And then you start with that, and you start making progress with that, and you do as much of that as you possibly can to start feeling successful. That allows your brain to go, okay, I guess this is safe. I've done 100 of these, or 15 or 20 or whatever it is. Maybe I'll try a slightly more difficult progression. So we'll tiptoe into it a little bit, okay? You have to listen to your brain. Instead of being like, stupid brain, come on, let me do it. You go, hey buddy, what should we try next? What do you think? Does that seem too scary? You're not going for that? Okay, let's back it up a step. Let's try something a little bit easier. Start with that, build your foundation, and then give it time. Stay positive, and just every single week, you want to be taking a little step forward, a little step forward, a little step forward. Of course, if you're in competition season or your coach is yelling, it's harder to feel like you can take those baby steps. And that's why there's a whole module on communicating with your coaches and communicating with your brain so that you can know exactly how to talk to them and how to get everybody on your team so that you can work in favor of your brain, which is you have to get your brain on your side. Otherwise, you're going to keep hitting a wall. I had this, probably does not seem like a good example to you guys, but I had a little moment with my kid, my little daughter. She's going to be 3. Her name's Ruby. She is in gymnastics. So she and I go to our mom and me class twice a week. And I'm like, don't be that mom. Don't be that mom who's like, point your toes, or, former gymnast mom. But I love taking her to gymnastics class. And so she's a funny kid though. She does not like being told what to do. It's sounds just like me. And she gets kind of scared of certain things. She does not want the teacher to help her. She wants me to help her. She doesn't want the teacher to help her. And so I'm like, come on, kid, just do the class. Do what the other kids are doing. You're making me look bad. Or, I have these, I fall into that typical, just do it. Come on. I want you to just do the thing. Don't be scared. Just go. It's fine. And then of course, the owner of the gym is who teaches it. And he sends me his gymnast to work with. And so, he's like, oh, why don't you do what you tell your kids to do? Is baby steps, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So this time around, just go and touch the mat that's next to the coach. And then go do the next one. Come around and then maybe you'll hold on to the bar and then you can leave. You don't have to do it. Where I'm like, I know you're the best kid in this class. I know you could do this, but for her, she needs to just go bit by bit when the coach is around, because for whatever reason that makes her nervous. And it's okay. He's 6'3". She's this tiny little thing. I could see that could make somebody nervous. The other day we're doing the parachute, and they have this challenge where all the littles are supposed to run all the way around this massive parachute around all the big parents and then come back and sit with their grown-up. She looked at me and was like, I am not running around this whole thing without you. No way. And so I was like, okay, why don't you run over to yellow and come back? She's like, okay. She runs over to yellow and comes back. I'm like, how about blue? She's like, okay. So she goes past the yellow over to the blue, comes back to me, high five. And you know what? That was her success for the day. And because I teach this stuff, I was able to go, oh my gosh, that was success. Instead of my kid sucks. My kid won't run around the parachute. My kid is such a wimp, whatever. She's not. She just gets nervous around big people because she's a little person, and that is totally okay. So if, next week, maybe we'll get to the green or the red, maybe she'll get halfway and maybe she'll get all the way around. But if I force it, she's not going to want to do it. Her brain is going to say, this is not safe. I don't like it. I don't want to go. If I say, just go to the blue, she goes, she feels successful. I give her a high five and off she goes. So that's kind of the concept. It's change our expectations as parents and coaches and just help them out of their comfort zone little by little until they're the one, until she's the one who's like, Mommy, I want to swing on the rope today. I'm like, girl, get it. Took us a couple weeks, but today she did it. So that's my little, my little example where I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff totally works. And I need to not be a perfectionist. I need to let go of my expectations for my kid. I need to forget about you're making me look bad and just be like, you're not even 3 and I'm so proud of you for showing up. And that's what I did. We left and I was like, you worked so hard. That was awesome. You made progress and you tried things that were scary for you. And I'm so proud of you. And that has to be the focus, not you were this shining example in the class, because that's not what it's about. It's about our effort. Okay, moving along. So now on to Jen's question. So this is a cheer mom who said, she asked, it's the time of year for cheer tryouts. Any suggestions on how to handle tryouts, especially if there's a mental block involved? How do we as parents navigate through this? Okay, so that whole little vignette about my kid, I think totally applies. You have to check your expectations. If you're like, oh my gosh, I really want my kid to make it. I don't want her to be upset. I want to look good. We've all been working so hard. I want her to feel happy. All of those are expectations. And expectations set you up to be upset. I know that's like a really bold statement because we go through our whole lives with all these expectations. But if you could just go, you know what? I'm expecting nothing. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. Meanwhile, you've got maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month, maybe less, to just focus on what's within your control. Okay, so you can get her there on time. You can feed her food that makes her body feel good and operate well. You can help her get some sleep. You can get her private lessons. You can take her to tumbling classes, which I know this mom is doing. She's doing everything within her power to prepare her daughter for the best tryout experience that she can have. When we have a mental block, I can't just rush Ruby around that parachute. I can't just be like, go, it's time, tryouts time, go, run around the parachute. She's going to be like, forget you, I'm out of here. So her brain's going to be where it is. She's been putting in the work. We've been working on this. Mom's been doing a really great job of being supportive and giving her everything she needs without forcing her to make any progress that her brain isn't ready to make. So it's almost like time to just stay focused on what you can control, praise her effort, be so proud of her, and let it go. And I tell some of my kids to make a worry box if they're like really worried about something, like, oh, the state meet's coming up, I don't know how I'm going to do, I'm so stressed. And I'm like, okay, write it all down. What are you worried about? And mom, I'm saying, like, you could do this too. Write down, like, I'm worried she'll be upset. I'm worried she'll feel bad. I'm worried she won't make the team. I'm worried, just write it all out and then fold it up and put it in your worry box and shut it and then let it go, because there's really nothing you can do beyond what you're already doing. And you can have the confidence that you are doing everything you need to do to set her up. And then from there, you have to let go. And then my final note on this question before I move to the next one is that I am the kind of person who likes to think everything happens for a reason. I don't know if everything happens for a reason because I don't have a crystal ball and I can't see the whole universe and I can't. But I do know that it makes me feel better. It makes me sleep well at night to think everything happens for a reason. And I look back on, my biggest struggles when I was a young gymnast and I was overcome by fear, overcome by anxiety. I've had a lot of what I felt were these like awful, horrible crash and burns that led to the end of my gymnastics career, failing out of school. Like there were a lot of things that went wrong in my life. Divorce. I had all these like quote unquote failures. And I look back on them and I'm like, thank goodness. Thank goodness that didn't pan out. Thank goodness that guy didn't work out. Thank goodness, because the life I have today is immeasurably more wonderful than anything I could have imagined. So I can look back and go, oh yeah, like, okay, whatever's running this universe is taking care of me just fine, because every lesson I've needed to learn, I've learned. And it's brought me to this, this really enjoyable life. So I have to try to think about that for my daughter. Everything in her life is happening for whatever reason. And it's, so far for my life, it's gone well. So why wouldn't it go okay for her too? Even if she has to endure some disappointment. And you guys may have heard of Michael Jordan. And there's, a lot of people know he was cut from his high school varsity basketball team. He wasn't cut, he was just put on JV. So he was a sophomore. They didn't allow sophomores on varsity at the time, or that was what the coach said. So they didn't let him on varsity, but they did let another sophomore who was 6'7" on the team, and Michael Jordan was only 5'10", and he was livid. He was like, ugh, I belong on that team. I should be on that team, and they didn't let me on, and they didn't believe in me. So you know what? I am going to go play my butt off in JV. And he did, and he was the superstar of the JV team. He got all the playing time he wanted. He got to take all the shots he wanted. And it ended up being, this first fire in him that was like, don't you tell me I'm not good enough. Like, I am gunning for this. So instead of being like, well, I quit. I didn't make varsity and I deserved it and this isn't fair. I'm out of here. He was like, all right, well, watch me handle this. So if she doesn't make the team, if she doesn't make the right team, if any of those things go wrong, what if everything is okay? And then you can say, good work. I love you. I'm so proud of you. Let's go get ice cream. What's next? It's drop the expectations, drop the need to take care of her, and trust that it's all going to be okay. I think that's the best we can do, really. It's the only thing you can control. You're getting there on time, you're feeding her, you're taking care of her, you're paying for private lessons, you're making stuff happen. So now just, let it run its course. Okay, final question from Ron, who is a soccer dad. He said he's looking for recommendations for helping a player who has developed fear and anxiety when specifically competing against another player. We're not sure how or why this has developed, but seeing his anxiety is heartbreaking. And this, I'm sure a lot of you guys out there can relate to this, having that like one person who like really just irks you or gets to you or makes you feel inadequate or makes you feel anxious. Like, and it made me think of a girl who I'm working with who's a pole vaulter, who she's got a girl on a rival team who anytime she's there, she pretty much falls apart. She completely crumbles because, you know, this girl's the epitome of everything she's not. You know, and you know, we all have that, like, oh, this girl who just keeps like getting married before me and has a baby before me and does, you know, all starts a business before me, and I'm like, oh, it makes me feel inadequate. It makes me feel anxious. It makes me feel nervous. It makes me feel like I'm not good enough. We've probably all kind of got somebody out there that's like, ooh, when I look at you, I feel bad about myself. Maybe not, you know, maybe it's just me, but of course, like I've obviously gotten over that, obviously, right? But it's a fairly normal thing that somebody would be kind of a trigger point for insecurity. And in this case, for this little guy, this is just a big distraction. You know, whenever he is around this guy, he's distracted by these thoughts. You know, that's my assumption, is that his thoughts are, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not fast enough, this guy's gonna beat me, I'm not safe, you know, whatever it is, it kind of just automatically triggers this whole cacophony of thoughts that are not useful, okay? So what I recommend in this situation, what I did for this pole vaulter and what I've done for another, you know, a swimmer whose ex-boyfriend was always a trigger at swim meets, use them for your mental toughness training, meaning have them be the trigger to remind you to focus. They're really, what they are is a big distraction. Okay, so I'll give you this swim team example. This girl had this boyfriend, he was on a different team, they broke up, and now he's at all the swim meets and he like stares her down and acts really weird because he knows he can psych her out, and it just brings him like this sick pleasure to distract her. So I said, great, we've been looking for something to remind you to do your pre-performance routine. So every time you see him, remember what you need to do. And she has all these, you know, this sequence of things that get her in the right mindset. And she would forget to do it because she'd just be like, you know, in the meet, and then she'd see him and go, oh no, oh yeah. Okay, let me get my playlist on. Let me go breathe. Let me say my affirmations. All right, now I'm going to stretch myself out. And during my warm up, I'm going to do this. She used him as a reminder because she knew she'd pay attention to him. And then it allowed her she actually got grateful. Whenever she saw him, she's like, oh yeah, I got to get my pre-performance routine going. And she was no longer fazed by him at all. Okay, with this pole vaulter, I had her, or I didn't have her, it was actually her idea to start training with her. So once a week, she actually would train alongside this other person so that she could come up against her nerves and practice focusing in on technique, focusing in on what she needed to do to make sure that her jumps were good. So she actually would say, like, okay, distraction, come on in. Let me train with you so that I can practice blocking you out, zoning out, pulling my focus into what's really important. So how do you handle a distraction? You come up with a plan. I like a plan. A pre-performance routine for this little guy would probably be really great. You know, kind of the things that help him feel comfortable and confident under pressure. And there's actually a whole course in the community on the pre-performance mindset. And it's a mini course where I'll walk you through past performances, good ones and bad ones, and you look for patterns. So you look back at, you know, your top 3 performances of all time. How did you prep? What did you eat? How did you sleep? What did you do the day before? What did you do that morning? How nervous were you? What kind of energy level? And then you figure out the patterns. Okay, so these are the things that set you up for success. And then you go back through maybe your 3 worst performances and go, okay, what were you focusing on? What did you do the night before, the morning of, the day of, at pivotal moments that allowed you to crumble? And that can give you some really good information on what do you personally need to have in place in order to be really good under pressure. And so you get your pre-performance routine sorted out. And then whenever you see this guy, this trigger person, then you're like, oh yeah, pre-performance routine time, here we go. You figure out what's the distraction, what's your plan for what you can do to refocus on what's actually important, which is probably technique, keeping your focus wide, looking for openings, guarding your person, whatever it is in that moment that's critical. You see the distractor and then you go, oh yeah, what's important now? There's even an acronym to help you remember that. It's WIN, W-I-N. What's important now? So anytime you catch yourself focused on something that's not helpful, you want to be able to snap it back to what's important now, WIN, and stay there as long as you can until your monkey mind wanders off again to the distraction and you go, oh, what's important now? And the more you do it, the better you get. So instead of thinking of this person as this big threat that causes anxiety and makes them uncomfortable, think about it like, hey, good. What a good reminder that you need to focus. Okay, and remember what we focus on? We already figured that out before. This, and this. This is what gets you in the zone. We know this because we looked back at past performances and we proved that this type of focus sets you up for success. So that can allow them to be more confident. And the final little exercise I'll give you on that is to make a list of possible distractions that might come up when you're playing that make you anxious, make you uncomfortable. And then next to each one, write a better thing to think about, a more helpful thought. If you tend to go, oh no, this kid's bigger than me, and that makes me nervous, you might think, I'm fast. I'm a really fast runner. And you can just focus it onto what's positive and what's helpful. And that's that for now. Those of you guys in the community, of course, you can find me in the Ask Rebecca forum. Ask me questions like this anytime, and I will get back to you right away. And we have this awesome parent community where parents are supporting each other through these types of struggles and doing a phenomenal job, actually. I'm like constantly impressed when people are like, well, I think this is the best way to deal with it. I'm like, yes, correct, good. You guys got this. And I know every time I teach something, it reinforces. So the ability to give back and help others in the community, I think, is pretty priceless. So please come join us at performhappy.com if that appeals to you. If you're looking for some support around parenting, around your mindset, your sport performance, come and check it out. There's always a free 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not happy, you can get on out of there and we'll give you your money back. And then finally, if you want a little extra something to boost your confidence, if you're experiencing fear or a mental block, you can download a worksheet that's specifically it's basically an 8-week plan to get through the fear. And that's just a simple worksheet you can download at completeperformancecoaching.com/confidence-ladder-worksheet. So that's a doozy. Let me tell you one more time. It's completeperformancecoaching.com/confidence-ladder-worksheet. So that's the confidence ladder worksheet. And any questions, send them to me, Rebecca at performhappy.com, and I will see you again next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.